Today I am going to discuss about acute kidney injury. Previously known as acute renal failure, currently they are saying as acute kidney injury. Before I am moving to topic, anyone tell how many kidneys you have? Okay, usually in adult have two kidneys. Sometimes it can be a single kidney with atrophied other kidney or absent other kidney, or sometimes also kidney also can have. Anyway, each kidney approximately containing 1.2 millions of nephrons. That means you have two kidneys containing approximately 2.4 million of nephrons. This is your kidney, this is your renal artery, this is your kidney. From cardiac output, how much of blood come into the kidney per minute? Approximately 20% of cardiac output go to the kidney. The main function of the kidney is excretion of waste product. 20% of cardiac output means if you are having 5 liters of cardiac output, 20% of 5 liters, 20% of 5 liters means approximately 1 liter of blood per minute go via both kidneys. So out of 1 liters, red cell containing approximately 40%, what we call it as hematocrit. So the amount of plasma is then 1 liter, 60% is the amount of plasma out of 1 liter. That means 600 ml of plasma travel through your kidneys and a nephron, not the nephrons, kidneys per minute. Out of that, out of the 600, again 20% going to filtrate through the glomeruli per minute. Out of 600 plasma, 20% going to filtrate through the glomeruli. That means 120 ml per minute is your approximately glomerular filtration rate. Your approximately glomerular filtration rate is 120 ml per minute. Out of 120 ml, 99% going to be reabsorbed by the proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, and collecting duct also. Then ultimately you produce urine 1 ml per hour, approximately 1 ml per hour, 1 ml per minute. Urine output approximately you produce. Second thing, what is polyuria and what is oliguria? The oliguria they defined as daily urine output less than 500, some book says 400 as well, less than 500 ml per day. Oliguria. Polyuria means more than 3.5 liters per day. Why this 500 came for oliguria? I will tell it. If you remember your anatomy and nephrology in your medical faculty time, it containing Bowman capsule, then proximal convoluted tubule, collecting duct, loop of Henle, and the distal convoluted tubule. Here approximately concentration of the plasma is 1200 milliosmoles per liter. Because of this high milliosmole, 1200 milliosmoles per liter. Because of this high concentration, large amount of fluid can taken into the renal interstitium. I will repeat it again. This is your Bowman capsule. Your urine start to filter into the here. Because of the high osmolarity, gradually osmolarity increase from here to here. Here nearly 300, 600, 900, 1200. Likewise, 600, 900, 1200. Likewise, your tubular interstitium gradually become hypertonic. Because of that hypertonicity, large amount of fluid can take into the tubular interstitium. In healthy adult approximately produce 600 to 800 milliosmoles per day. So these milliosmoles have to removed via kidney in order to maintain the constant osmolarity in the body. In healthy adult approximately produce 600 to 800 milliosmoles. So you have to remove this amount of osmoles in order to keep your body isosmolar. So if you want to remove 600 milliosmoles, minimum amount of milliosmoles is 600 milliosmoles, you have to produce approximately the maximum concentration amount is 1200. Maximum concentration 1200 milliosmoles per liter. So you should at least have to have 500 ml of urine to remove 600 milliosmoles. If you want to remove 1200 milliosmoles, you should have 1 liter of urine. If you want to remove 600 of milliosmoles, you have to have 500 of ml of urine. That is why oliguria came as 500 here. Okay, we will move into topic. What is acute kidney injury? Acute kidney injury they describe as abrupt reduction of renal function. Abrupt reduction of renal function. Abrupt means within 48 hours. Reduction of renal function. It may be manifested by either rise in serum creatinine, absolute value 0.3 milligram. 0.3 milligram per deciliter or 26.4 microsmoles liters. Rise in serum creatinine more than 0.3 milligram per deciliter or 26.4 micromoles per liter. If your patient currently having those conditions, your patient is having acute kidney injury, or if your patient's baseline serum creatinine increasing 1.5 times baseline creatinine, that means if your patient having serum creatinine 1 previously, now it 1.5. 50% rising of serum creatinine or 1.5 time of baseline elevation, again called as acute kidney injury. Or reduction of urine output. Reduction of urine out less than 0.5 ml per kg per minute for more than 6 hours. Okay, your patient having if your patient having rise in serum creatinine more than 0.3 or 26.4 micromoles per liter, or rise in serum creatinine 1.5 times from the baseline, or urine output less than 0.5 per kg per hour more than 6 hours, you can categorize your patient is having acute kidney injury. You have to do something rapidly in order to reverse the acute kidney injury. In addition to those initial definition, there are several definitions which categorize the severity of the acute kidney injury. There are several definitions. Out of that, currently use only one definition called KDIGO classification. KDIGO means kidney disease improving global outcome. Kidney disease improving global outcome. In addition to that, two more classification was there previously. Sometime old examiners very enthusiastic in asking those kind of questions. Because of that, I will tell. One thing is rifle criteria. Other one is Akin criteria. RIPER means risk, injury, failure, loss and end stage renal failure. AKIN means acute kidney injury network criteria. Acute kidney injury network criteria. So, but currently we are using KDIGO criteria. That means kidney disease improving global outcome. It says 3 stages of renal failure are there. Stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. Stage 1 defined as rising of serum creatinine from baseline 1.5 time to 1.9 time baseline. In addition to that, if you do not have facility to do serum creatinine, they give a urine output criteria as well. Urine output less than 0.5 ml per kg per hour, more than 6 to 12 hours. Sorry, 6 to 12 hours. So this is stage 1 renal failure is the patient having rising serum creatinine baseline from 1.5 to 1.9 or reduction in urine output less than 0.5 ml per kg per hour, more than 6 to 12 hours. If so, you have to do something rapidly because your patient is having renal failure right now. In addition to that, they describe stage 2 as serum creatinine 2 to 2.9 time from the baseline. 2 to 2.9 from the baseline and urine output criteria less than 0.5 ml per kg per hour, more than 12 hours. Stage 1 defined as 2 to 2.9 time and urine output less than 0.5 for 12 hours. And stage 3 defined as serum creatinine more than 3 times from baseline or absolute serum creatinine more than 4 mg per deciliter or patient who need dialysis. Belong to stage 3. And urine output also less than 0.3 ml per kg per hour for more than 24 hours or anuria for 12 hours. Okay. Again I will repeat it. To say your patient having AKI, your patient should show the features of abrupt onset reduction of renal function, that means within 24 hours, 48 hours of the renal function should be declined, and serum creatinine rising should be more than 0.3 or 26.4, 1.5 times from the baseline also enough, and reduction of urine output less than 0.5 per kilogram per hour, more than 6 hours also enough. If you have patient having those kind of features, you have to categorize where you are patient right now. For that, stage 1 says 1.5 to 1.9 time baseline or serum urine output more than 0.5, less than 0.5 for kg per hour for more than 6 to 12 hours, and the urine output again this value should be other way around, less than. Okay, I get to 2 to 2.9 from the baseline or less than 0.5 for more than 12 hours. Grade 3 little bit of difference, 3 times from the baseline or 4 mg per deciliter absolute value or patient who need dialysis, and urine output less than 0.3 per kilogram per hour, more than 24 hours or anuria for 12 hours. If your patient having those symptoms, you can categorize your patient is having stage, whether having stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Stage 4 is not there. Lucky. Okay, shall we move into what we are going to do if your patient is found to have AKI? Now you are keen in diagnosing of AKI. Sure? Yes. You are keen in diagnosing of AKI, but after that what are you going to do? In ICU, you receive a call to manage a patient with AKI. What are you going to do? As you receive the patient with AKI, first of all you have to stabilize the patient. So you have to approach the patient airway, breathing and circulation first of all. So your management approach should be ABC. approach. That means you have to stabilize the airway. Patient can be severely acidotic and dyspneic. You have to support breathing if necessary, and you have to give adequate circulatory support. Most of the time, patient can have hypovolemia. In addition to that, during the ABC approach, you have to exclude life-threatening complications. The life-threatening complications of AKI are one thing is hyperkalemia, hypotassium, and fluid overload, heart failure, sometimes uremic fit, uremia fit or carditis, uremic fit or uremic carditis. Then what I am going to do is, you have to assess the fluid status of the patient. How I am going to assess the fluid status of the patient is, once you establish the patient according to ABC, you have to exclude the life-threatening complications. Then you have to assess the fluid status. To assess the fluid status, what you have to do is, you have to do static and dynamic fluid parameters, or dynamic fluid assessment. According to that, if you think your patient is still underfilled, you have to give additional fluid. If your patient having high potassium level, better to avoid Hartmann. You can consider normal saline, or otherwise you can use both crystalloid, and if necessary, other fluid product as well. Even though you achieve adequate amount of hydration and volume status, your kidney perfusion still may be poor. Even though you achieve adequate amount of fluid status or volume status, your kidney perfusion may be still poor. How it happens? If you have low blood pressure, the perfusion pressure of the afferent and efferent glomerular arteries, that filtration fraction of 20% out of 600 will be reduced. Because of that, you may have to have adequate amount of blood pressure. For that, you may need to start inotrope or vasopressors. So, once you establish the adequate fluid status, you have to consider inotrope and vasopressors in order to maintain the renal perfusion. So, that means adequate mean arterial pressure. After that, you have an ABC approach, fluid status. Then you have to check whether your patient having post-urinary tract obstruction. If your patient having urinary tract obstruction, that obstructive uropathy can worsen the renal failure. Because of that, you have to catheterize the patient. Catheterize or percutaneous nephrostomy. In case of calculi, you can consider percutaneous nephrostomy. You can consider catheterization or percutaneous nephrostomy. Then you have to go through the drugs chart. Drugs chart and check, are there any nephrotoxins? What are the nephrotoxins? Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, AC inhibitors, contrast, aminoglycoside antibody. If your patient is having those of things in drug chart, you have to temporarily withhold those drugs until patient recovers from renal failure. So, in addition to that, if your patient having severe metabolic acidosis, you may consider sodium bicarbonate. I will tell why is that. If your patient having severe metabolic acidosis, pH less than 7.1, that means your intracellular acidosis, even though your bicarbonate increase the intracellular acidosis, this acidosis can reduce the myocardial contractility and it can very harmful. Because of that, you have to give sodium bicarbonate to make the urine, make your body alkaline. But it is not must. You may have to consider other thing in case like this. In addition to that, you try to identify the causes other than the deficit of fluid, then have to treat it as well. I will write one of the few causes of acute renal failure. One thing is following polytrauma rhabdomyolysis. If a patient having rhabdomyolysis following polytrauma, what you have to do is adequate hydration you have to maintain. Hydration, and you have to consider post-alkaline diuresis. Post-alkaline diuresis. You have to consider post-alkaline diuresis. And if your patient having high intra-abdominal pressure, initially you have to consider supportive measures. If you fail, you have to do exploratory laparotomy. Conservative measures that you can consider NG tube, rectal tube, muscle paralyzation, NG tube, rectal tube, muscle paralyzation, and if you fail those things, you have to consider surgical decompression. You have to consider surgical decompression. Rarely, your patient can have interstitial nephritis, allergic interstitial nephritis, especially if your patient is on insulin, penicillin or cephalosporin. In that case, you have to stop the penicillin and cephalosporin. Despite of all the measures, if you fail to achieve adequate amount of urine output, you may have to consider renal replacement therapy. We'll see what are the indications for renal replacement therapy. That means dialysis. It may be peritoneal dialysis or hemodiafiltration or slow efficacy ultrafiltration. I will teach regarding the dialysis in my separate lecture. Okay, renal replacement therapy, you have to consider if your patient having persistent hyperkalemia in spite of medical treatment. If your patient having persistent hyperkalemia more than 6.5 millimoles per liter, you have to consider dialysis. In addition to that, if your patient having persistently high urine level, uremia more than 35 millimoles per liter, you have to consider dialysis. Usually with more than 2 to 35, you may have features of uremic encephalopathy, uremic pericarditis. Okay, you may have uremic encephalopathy, uremic pericarditis, and uremia associated platelet dysfunction and bleeding. So, if your patient having uremic encephalopathy, uremic pericarditis, or uremia associated bleeding, you have to consider renal replacement therapy. Or in addition to that, if your patient having severe acidemia, pH less than 7.1, pH less than 7.1, you may have to consider dialysis. Or resistant fluid overload. What is resistant fluid overload? That means your patient having lung basal crepidation right now and enlargement of the liver due to hepatic congestion and right heart failure due to fluid overload. You tried with furosemide to get rid of the fluid out of body, but if you are failed, then you can consider renal replacement therapy. That we call refractory fluid overload. Okay. I will repeat it again what I am going to do in patient with AKI. You have to approach with ABC. Hypokalemia, fluid overload and uremia you should exclude, and you have to assess the fluid status with dynamic and static fluid parameters. Dynamic one are the best one. What are the dynamic method? You can do a passive tracing test, SVC distensibility, IVC collapsibility, IVC distensibility, SVC collapsibility, or other way around, and left ventricular outflow tract time velocity index you can do, and pulse pressure variation, stroke volume variation you can do, and you can use CVP trend as well. If you want, you can do the mixed venous oxygen saturation as well. So after achieving the adequate amount of fluid, you may have to consider vasopressors or inotropes, and you have to insert catheter or percutaneous nephrostomy. You have to go through the drug chart. You have to stop NSAID and ACE inhibitors, contrast, or sometime aminoglycoside, sometime penicillin and cephalosporin as I told earlier. And severe metabolic acidosis, you may have to consider sodium bicarbonate. And if a patient having persistently high serum creatinine with those features, you may have to consider renal replacement.